Hi everyone, it's Paola. Welcome back to my channel, Art, Graphic Design. You guys know that's what I'm all about here. So, as you know, I have a shelf full of graphic design books, and lately I have been sharing with you some info from them, and so today that's what we're doing. We're going to be pulling from Design Elements, a graphic style manual by Timothy Samara. But before we get into that, follow me on Instagram and also check out my Patreon down below. Also, all my links are always below, like my portfolio and everything, so check it out. But as you guys know, I love pulling from the books that I have and giving you advice, information, if you can't get the book yourself or if you're intrigued, want to know what's in it. No gatekeeping here. I'm here to help you and teach you graphic design any way that you can get your hands on it. So that might just be me sharing what's in this book. So basically what this book is about is understanding the rules and knowing when to break them. So what we're actually going to do is go through what they have as the rules of graphic design. Now, in a formal education, you would totally learn this throughout your years of education and alongside reading these books. But if you also are going the self-taught route, this is a great way to start learning the rules and basics of design and then understanding how to challenge those rules and know what to do from there. Design is a lot about personal preference, but it's also about understanding how to set up good graphic design and be different and stand out from the people who don't know what they're doing when they design, and you can understand those rules and then go off on your own path, figure it out for yourself, and do it how you want to. But always keeping those rules in mind. So let's get going. So I'm going to share with you the 20 rules for making good design. So the big quote by a typographer, David Jury, at the beginning of this book is, "Rules can be broken, but never ignored." So like I said, it's great to get started like this, know the rules of design, learn how to get started, and then take it from there. Some of these are going to be a little self-explanatory and a little simplified, but they are still important to remember. Like rule number 1, very simple, have a concept. So this is basically saying you need to have concept behind your design. It can't just be an empty vessel of an object or design piece. It has to be a message, it has to be clear. And a lot of graphic design, especially if you're reading in these books, they'll tell you a lot of graphic design is communication, and I wholeheartedly agree. It is communication. It's about getting something across, and I think that you need to have that strong concept before you get started in just making whatever it is you're making. So like I said, communication. Number 2 is communicate, don't decorate. So I really like this quote. It's like, oh, neat. But what exactly is it? Form carries meaning, no matter how simple or abstract, and form that's not right for a given message junks it up and confuses. So this is kind of explanatory. As you can see here in this photo too, it's like a watercolor background for a poster or something here. And this is like a purposeful shape. It's a purposeful design aspect in the design. It's communicating what you're trying to get across, and it's not just a decorative background. So it's not just an added addition, it's a reason that you have it on there. So this one says it's the notion of blooming because the publication is about that. 3 is be universal. So this goes along with the communication thing. So you have to be able to share it to everybody. It's not about just the few people behind the scenes who are in the know about what you are trying to communicate and trying to convey. So that goes with shapes, colors, images, everything that you put into design. It needs to communicate what you're trying to get across to everyone, people who do not know what it is. So a great way to gauge that in your designs is by showing it to someone who has no idea what it's for and try to get them to understand what it is. So if it doesn't come across clearly when you show them, then it needs to be reworked. Number 4, speak with one visual voice. This just means basically sticking to a theme. And I'm not gonna say like a literal theme, but understanding all your design elements and how they go together cohesively. 5, if you can do it with less, then do it. Yes, this is basically the less is more theory, as it says here, but also that you don't want to overcrowd a space with too much information, and if you can do it with less, do it, because that is what good design is about, just getting things across simply and effectively. Number 6, create space, don't fill it. So that goes along with the not crowding things up, but also using negative space. I always talk about this in all my design advice, but negative space is such a big aspect of design, and if you can get that right, I think you can be a really strong designer. 7, give them the 1-2 punch. Let's see what that means. Focus viewers' attention on one important thing. A big shape, a startling image, or type treatment, or a daring color, and then lead them to the less important items in a logical way. So that's great advice. I mean, that goes along with the important information communication thing. You really want to get the most important thing out there first, so it's all about that eye-catching thing first. 8, beware of symmetry. So I've talked about this and it's been in other books that I've shared, But yes, symmetry and asymmetry, great exercises. That's in my exercise video if you want to like challenge yourself with that. But yeah, symmetry can get a little stagnant, can get a little boring. So challenge yourself to create different compositions and layouts with grids or with angles, and that can definitely bring up the elements of a design. Number 9, fight the flatness. So this is a great one because, you know, layouts and graphic design is basically 2D most of the time. I mean, especially like editorial layouts. So you really need to have a dynamic approach to create movement and excitement into your flat design. There's even a quote from Paul Rand in here that says, without contrast, you're dead. 10, pick colors on purpose. So this goes along with the reason to not have like flashy decorative pieces in the back that have nothing to do with it. If you're picking colors that have nothing to do with what you are designing, like the brand or the product or whatever, then what is the point? So it says, don't grab colors out of thin air. You know, it has to be intentional. You have to understand what it is you're designing and what the audience is and what it's for, and then take those colors and put them into that design. 11, less color is more. So yes, be intentional and also be a good editor. 12, master the dark and the light. So this is about tonal value. It says tonal value is a powerful design tool. Make sure you're using a range of dark and light. Furthermore, don't spread out the tonal range all over the place. Use tone like firecrackers and the rising sun. Concentrate areas of extreme dark and light. Create explosions of luminosity and undercurrents of darkness. Counter these with subtler transitions between related values. I think that's great advice. 13, type is only type when it's friendly. So this is about legibility. It's also about approachability. So you don't want to have any type that pushes someone away. You want something that brings you in, and you also want it to be readable. That's really important, effective design. 14, use 2 typeface families maximum. This is a great one where I would say like those rules set up and then rules meant to be broken. Sometimes I even push this rule. Like, it's all about figuring it out for yourself, but families, I totally get that. Like using an italic of one and a regular of one, or a bold of one and a regular of one. I totally get that. And I think narrowing it down to 2 will definitely help you if you're having a lot of trouble in the type department. I think that's definitely a way that you can get started and start figuring out how to use type effectively in your designs. 15, treat type as you would image. It says type is a visual material made up of lines and dots and shapes and textures. It has to relate compositionally to everything else in the design. I agree. 16, avoid redundant redundancies. Be conscious of how much information is conveyed by a project's text. When you introduce imagery, you need not show the same information. So basically that's saying that you don't need to convey what the image is already conveying with your words. Use both hand in hand and design that composition using those 2 elements together, working together, not working against each other. 17, create images, don't scavenge. Again, with the rule breaking, I break this rule all the time. I love finding old photos, I love collaging, I love things like that. That might mean also making your own pictures out of older pictures, but it also says that you should be like making images, which I don't always do, sorry. But I always keep this in mind. I mean, I know it's part of graphic design, but sometimes I just do my own thing and I use a full image as the background to something. Sometimes I like that. 18, look to history, but don't repeat it. So this is totally talking about like plagiarism, essentially. It's talking about how you can be inspired by other people's works, obviously, and history, but you don't want to just be copying. You want to find your own thing and do your own thing. But, you know, lots of stuff has been done before, let's be real, guys. So if you feel like you want to practice by using other people's work, I mean famous people's, not just like stealing, if you want to take inspiration from that and get started that way, that's okay. You're not just like plagiarizing, you're figuring out your path. 19, ignore fashion. So this is basically saying that if you're following trends, and yeah, fashion trends, but also design trends, your work might not stand out forever, and you want to take all of these approaches to your design work all the time and not just what you see on, you know, social media even. I don't even know if this book talks about social media, but, you know, social media definitely plays a role in design work, and I think if you're just copying and doing those elements and not really knowing why, then you might not continue making good eye-capturing work. And 20, be decisive, do it on purpose or not at all. I think that speaks for itself. So guys, those are the 20 rules for graphic design, for good graphic design. But like I said, rules are meant to be broken. The book says rules are meant to be broken, and it continues on from there, and it has a lot more in this book. But yeah, let me know if you liked this video by giving me a like and letting me know if you want to see other book advice, more information, more design help. Hopefully this helped you learn a little bit more about basic design, but also just what people say are the rules for design. Even if you are a designer, you might not know like that people are saying this or what's in books and stuff, but this is kind of like the basics for that, and I just think it's interesting. Even when I don't agree on everything, I think it's interesting still. So hopefully you did too. Please let me know what other types of videos you want to see in the comments. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed and ring the bell to get notified when I upload. I upload a lot of cool content and cool videos and a lot of design with me, so please follow along with that, and yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Okay, bye! Okay, I'm off to play Animal Crossing because that's all I do now. Seriously.